Hello everyone, I'm Dia Wall, and are you ready for winter weather? I know I'm not, because snow and ice hits a little bit different here in Texas. That's why we're spending the next half hour getting you prepared for a deep freeze. Something that always happens when the temperature plummets is water bursting from frozen pipes. Remember this scene from 2021? We don't want that happening. So we're going to start things off with Brittany Costello and what you can do to winterize your home.
Foundation vent cover just screws on. You don't want that cold air flowing under your house where your pipes are.
The shelves at Elliott's Hardware in Plano are stocked.
Heaters, of course, fuel, firewood, and then ice melt.
About as stocked as they're going to get.
This is called the freeze miser.
Employee Andrea Spencer knows the demand is coming.
We'll see it kind of go up and up and up.
And the first to go ahead of a big freeze.
Biggest seller is the faucet protector, and you attach it by tightening this cord.
It's perhaps the most important.
This black piece will just clip on the bottom of the threads there.
If you ask local Flow Bros plumber Jacob Hobson.
I'm expecting to be pretty busy during that time.
Protecting your pipes can help save you from costly repair bills after a freeze. They say it happens without fail for the most part with homeowners who simply forget to plan ahead.
After you cover your outside faucets, work your way in. Open cabinet doors on fixtures that back up to an exterior wall. Leave a drip the duration of the freeze.
The most important thing is to know how to shut off the water in case of an emergency.
To minimize damage if a pipe bursts.
So this is the city water meter.
Or if you think it's frozen.
By turning this handle here, it will shut the water off to the entire home.
Much like stocking up on your frost blankets or pool protectors, Hobson says winter weather home prep should start now.
They think, oh, it's Texas and we'll be safe.
To prevent an expensive headache later.
So if you don't have a good customer shutoff, it'd be a good idea to have your plumber locate and install one.
In DFW, I'm Brittany Costello.
You know what else can protect your pipes? A Whataburger cup. It's a viral hack in Texas. If you find yourself in a pinch and you don't want to head out to buy any more necessary items, experts say use a Whataburger cup, or any styrofoam cup for that matter, to protect those exposed pipes. Anytime we have snow and ice in the forecast, road crews are out there treating busy highways and elevated areas. It's recommended that when the roads are bad, you stay inside. But what if you have to head out? We have a lot of tips for you, including what a driving instructor says you need to do. First, let's hear from traffic anchor Erica Lopez.
Let's talk about driving in winter weather. There is a lot that you want to be aware of. One thing very important to keep in mind, bridges and ramps, they're going to freeze first. So beware. You're going to want to take it slow. Conditions likely to be very slick on those bridges, ramps, and overpasses first. Black ice is another thing that can be a big problem. It may not look like it, but you could get into some trouble. So make sure to take it slow, even if things look totally clear. You also want to make sure driving in wintry conditions, slick conditions, even snow, you want to make sure to take it very slow. We can't stress that enough. Beware of black ice, like I mentioned. Avoid accelerating or braking too quickly. That can cause a trouble without any other vehicles around you, with you slipping and sliding. Clear off your lights and your windows and your mirrors before you head out the door so you're not blowing snow on the drivers behind you and beside you, and allow plenty of extra distance between you and the other vehicles on the roadways, and plenty of time to commute and be safe.
You like to reduce your speed by about a third of what the speed limit is.
Corporal Derek Sheriff is a driving instructor for Arlington Police and used to be a truck driver. So he knows what to do if you find yourself on a slick road and your car starts to skid.
First thing is let off the accelerator, and then if you start skidding, steer in the direction of the skid.
Whatever you do, don't slam on your brakes and spin your steering wheel.
You'll end up spinning out and doing donuts, could roll your vehicle.
And he says don't drive too close to other vehicles.
The normal distance on spacing, we say the 2 car lengths, 2 seconds, double that, 4 car lengths.
If you cause an accident because you're driving recklessly, you could get a ticket, even on ice.
Driving too fast in unsafe conditions.
If you do have a wreck, it could take time for you to get help.
If you get in an accident, we're the first responders, fire, EMS, tow trucks, everybody's going to be super busy, and we may not be able to get to you for an hour or two.
Police say if you can, just stay off the roads and avoid the whole mess. In Arlington, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
Great tips there. Now, when it comes to winter weather, we always talk about the 4 Ps: pipes, pets, people, and plants. The Arctic air poses a serious threat to our greenery. Janelle Fort walks us through the best ways to help your vegetation survive.
When the mercury drops, plants shiver too. But don't worry, keeping your greenery safe isn't as hard as it sounds.
How do you guys typically protect them?
Yeah, great question. So we obviously have these great kind of rings these little hoops we made last year in preparation for the weather. So these are frost cloths.
That's Derek Carroll.
It's like this flame acanthus where, it's not looking its best, but it's surviving.
And that's Sonia Spray. They're the co-owners of Native Gardeners, a plant nursery in Euless. You may recognize them from their gardening videos on TikTok.
Everyone's favorite, Texas bluebonnet.
They say what you should do to protect your plants depends largely on the type of plant.
So the best thing to do is to about 1 inch to 2 inches of mulch around the base of the plant material, especially for native plants.
For your more exotic or tropical plants, Derek says they need extra care. Think of it like giving them a winter jacket.
These are really easy, just making sure to wrap them around if you've got shrubs outside.
And if you want to go the extra mile, adding lights can help keep them warmer.
For us, we've got these incandescent Christmas lights.
For potted plants, they say to treat them like house guests.
They're going to get cold on all sides of their roots rather than roots that are underground, so that'd be another thing to bring into your garage or onto a covered patio.
And don't forget hydration. Believe it or not, watering your plants before freeze can make a big difference.
That water will keep it a little warmer.
Even though the temperatures dropped a few days ago, they say it's not too late to act.
Especially since we haven't had precipitation yet. So I would say even now, even if you haven't, I wouldn't give up.
A little preparation goes a long way and can make all the difference come springtime. In Euless, I'm Janelle Ford.
We know every time winter weather is on the way, there are fears about possible power outages. Back in 2021, millions of Texans were left in the dark for days. And months later, some of you got some hefty electric bills too. Jason Wheeler shows us what you can do.
You remember getting that first post-deep freeze electric bill that for many of us should have had a caution label on the envelope to sit down first and take 5 deep breaths? If you have a heat pump system, which many of our dwellings do, the supplemental heating strips kick in when the outside temperature plummets. It varies as to when that happens, but when it's well below freezing, this will likely occur. Now, you can also trigger it by selecting emergency heating or auxiliary heating on your thermostat. Those heat strips that provide all of that extra warm air are not at all energy efficient. That's one reason why, even when it's crazy cold, there's that recommendation to set your thermostat as low as you can comfortably stand it inside your house. The problem is, after that huge electric grid failure, a lot of people might be tempted to jack that thermostat up this time around to superheat the house in case of another extended power failure this time. Sure, you'll be warmed, but also be warned. It will cost you big on your electric bill, and it could cost a lot of other people too, because if enough of us max out our thermostats and strain the system, that can actually necessitate blackouts.
Still ahead, the show goes on even when snow is falling. How the stock show and rodeo in Fort Worth is getting ready, even with winter weather on the way. Plus, it's the key to keep burst pipes from flooding your home. The one thing you should buy before the storm hits. Welcome back. As we prepare for winter weather, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo is no stranger to it. But organizers are working to make sure the weather doesn't put a damper on the festivities. Adriana D'Alba shows us how they're working to keep everyone safe.
This is a rodeo that does not back down from the weather.
Throughout its history, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo has weathered plenty of winter storms, and the show still goes on.
In fact, it's only been canceled twice, during World War II and the pandemic.
Not equipped to forecast the weather, so keep this in mind.
With winter weather in the forecast this weekend, organizers say they're ready.
You got to be prepared for whatever Mother Nature brings you.
Behind the scenes, crews are stocking up and preparing the grounds.
We plan ahead for that, store loads of sand, loads of salt. In the event that we do have inclement weather.
Safety for both people and animals is the priority.
Yes, making things as safe as possible for our guests. We're prepared and ready to roll.
For ranchers like Michael England, preparation at home can mean everything.
To me, that's got to be the worst, is not preparing pipes and getting ready for that, because first off, the animals need a constant supply of water. And it's just miserable trying to fix it while it's cold.
Still, many are willing to ride it out.
We're already here, and who knows, maybe we'll get out of here before the actual weather hits.
Back at the rodeo grounds, the message is clear.
We're still going to have a good time. We don't cancel because of adverse weather.
In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana D'Alba.
So we've talked about how to drive in winter weather, but there are some steps you should take before the weather even gets here. Jeremy Baker from our sister station in San Antonio shows us how to get our cars prepared for a deep freeze.
Even if you don't get any ice or snow and just rain, the colder weather could affect your car in ways that could cause you to have an accident, starting with your tires.
We typically see some wintry mix weather in the winter time, and so you want to make sure that your tires are not only properly inflated, but they have enough tread on them.
An easy way to make sure that you have enough tread on your tire is to take a quarter and put it directly in the tire tread. If you can see the top of Washington's head, it's time to replace the tire. And the tire pressure?
As it cools, everything contracts. The pressure actually lowers. So you need to make sure that the air pressures are correct.
When it comes to your battery, it needs to be primed with power, especially if it has a hard time turning over already.
One of the main things that you want to test, especially if you see cold weather coming up, is to actually get your battery tested.
Here are more winter weather tips for your car from AAA. Use your seatbelt every time you get in the vehicle, especially if there is inclement weather. Never warm up a vehicle in an enclosed area like a garage, and at no time is it needed to warm up your car anymore in cold weather. Make sure the exhaust pipe isn't clogged, because that could cause deadly carbon monoxide to leak into the vehicle, and never leave your vehicle unattended with the engine running. Also, make sure your coolant concentration is correct so your antifreeze doesn't freeze, and you make sure you aren't using the summer blend of oil, which is thicker.
In wintertime, though, they use a thinner oil to spin the engine over quicker to get the lubricating parts faster.
The winter weather headed our way will hit some big Texas cities. Maria Aguilera shows us how Houstonians are getting ready.
As Houston braces for freezing weather, experts say knowing your home can make all the difference.
If you're leaving, you don't want to leave water on when you think it might get freezing. You need to turn the water off and drain the system down a little bit.
If you're staying home, the most dangerous times are overnight. Experts say letting faucets drip can help keep water moving.
The best thing is use, right? I mean, so if you use your home, then you reduce the risk of something actually freezing.
If the power stays on, freezing temperatures hit the outside of the home.
You got hose bibs, sprinkler systems, pool fill systems.
Those are the areas that need to be covered and insulated. Sprinkler systems can also be shut off and drained ahead of the freeze. When it comes to the inside of the house,
unfortunately, a lot of our plumbing system is in the attic. They run it through the attic, drop it down on the walls.
Running your heater at a normal, comfortable temperature helps protect pipes, especially in attics. If the power goes out, you can drip your faucets or shut off the water and let the system drain. And when covering pipes, experts say use proper materials like foam, rubber, or fiberglass insulation sold in stores.
Do not use paper towels or newspapers or regular towels. They hold moisture. And so when they get wet, it actually makes it freeze faster.
The goal is to limit the damage now so you don't have to deal with a costly fix later. In Houston, Maria Aguilera, KHOU 11 News.
Extreme cold can also hurt your pipes. Remember the aftermath from the 2021 deep freeze? One big lesson we learned is that you should own something called a Jones-Stevens key. It's used to open the locked cover that houses your water meter outside, and from there, you can shut off your water at the main, which you should do if your pipes have frozen, because frozen pipes crack, and this is what happens when they thaw.
Still ahead, we have the science of winter weather. Just like North Texas, New Orleans doesn't get much snow either. But this was the scene 1 year ago. WFAA meteorologist Mariel Ruiz recently sat down for a conversation about winter weather with WWL meteorologist Alexa Trischler. Take a listen.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Marielle Ruiz with WFAA in Dallas, Fort Worth. We cover all of North Texas, and I'm joined by Alexa Trischler, meteorologist in Louisiana. Alexa, tell us what station you're with and what area you cover.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm meteorologist Alexa Trischler. I'm with WWL Louisiana in New Orleans. We cover all of Southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi down here along the Gulf Coast.
And Alexa, we're covering a huge storm. It's going to be multi-day. It's
Yeah.
going to be multi-state. One of the more impactful systems that we've seen this winter, I know for us, we've been on the drier side and we've also been on the warmer side. So this is going to be kind of a shock to the system, especially with new people moving into North Texas. And just yesterday we were put under a winter storm watch, likely being upgraded to a winter storm warning. And I know the system will have very different impacts on different states, but for us specifically, I mean, we're looking at several days of freezing temperatures. So by Friday night, we drop to 32 degrees, and then we stay in freezing temperatures. Our highs will be in the 20s on Saturday and Sunday. We don't climb to above freezing until Monday. So it ends up being like 65 consecutive hours of just freezing temperatures. And then you factor in, of course, the precip that moves in, and then you get a whole, mess of problems. So we're starting off with some rain, just cold rain on Friday, transitioning to a freezing rain sleet combo Friday night. And then it stays consistent like that throughout the day on Saturday. Saturday night, we could see a transition to snow. And then by Sunday, like midday, we will start to dry out, but then it stays cold. We're seeing temperatures, of course, that are in the teens, single digit wind chills. A few locations like north of DFW could get wind chills or feels like temperatures that are close to zero. So just a very significant event for us. We will see, travel issues as well, and we'll get to that. I know you guys are going to be dealing with this system as well. So what are the impacts looking like for you?
It's funny actually. It's been 1 year to the date of our January 2025 Bayou Blizzard, which was a historic snowstorm here that we hadn't seen since the late 1800s. So we're 1 year away, or 1 year from that date officially, and we're talking about winter weather again. Now, the impacts here this weekend across our region, Southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi, and the New Orleans area, the impacts are not going to be as significant as you're seeing farther to the north in Dallas and even northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi. They're going to be seeing more of an ice risk and snow risk across farther to the north of us. Now, here at home, it's actually interesting. It's going to be warm the next few days. We'll be in the 70s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Couple little rain showers around, and then we start to see things change this weekend here. So Saturday here across my region in New Orleans area, still going to be kind of mild. Temperatures will be in the 60s and falling throughout the day. So we'll likely just have to deal with some rain here across the region on Saturday. But Sunday is the day that there's still that chance we could actually get some freezing rain and some ice north of Lake Pontchartrain. So a lot of the impacts that we're going to see, it's looking like it's going to be focused north of Lake Pontchartrain on the North Shore, we call it, and South Mississippi. We could have some light changeover to freezing rain and maybe some ice on Sunday. And then that's really it. So our risks aren't going to be as high for wintry precipitation, but it's still there that we could get some freezing rain and patchy ice on the North Shore and South Mississippi on Sunday. And like you mentioned, it's the cold air that we're going to be dealing with. Absolutely frigid here on Monday and Tuesday, especially for our standards, because it doesn't really get this cold all too often down here. So our mornings, Monday and Tuesday mornings, temperatures will fall in the 20s, both sides of the lake, maybe even some teens north of Lake Pontchartrain. It will be windy, so it will feel absolutely bitter cold and frigid, and we'll have to worry about protecting our pipes both sides of the lake before Monday morning. So Monday and Tuesday morning, we could have pipe freeze concerns.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about too here, the pipe freeze concerns, because like I said, it's been rather warm here for at least winter standards. And so what we've been telling, exterior walls, if your pipes are on the exterior walls, make sure to open up the cabinets, get some ventilation going. You want to drip the pipes as well. So definitely high caution. And, it's interesting that you mentioned the the winter storm from last year, because I was actually in New Orleans about a year ago at the AMS conference, the American Meteorological Society conference. And so I remember it was around that time that New Orleans got to the what did you call it?
The Bayou Blizzard, we call it down here.
Bayou Blizzard. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so really interesting to see, Louisiana going through a couple of events like that in back to back,
Yeah, I know, right? 1 year ago to the date, we're talking about wintry weather this weekend, but it's not going to be anywhere near that. I know people were hoping for some snow again this year, but looks like we're probably going to miss out, at least for this round, but still nothing to mess with. We'll likely see maybe some patchy ice and freezing rain for parts of our area north of Lake Pontchartrain on Sunday. It's possible. It's still a chance that we might not even have to deal with that. The models are still pretty split. The European really doesn't have any ice threat, but the GFS has some ice threat for us on Sunday. So we'll have to wait and watch and see. And as you know, things can kind of change on a dime that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been watching day-to-day model runs, and surprisingly, it's been consistent. Normally, it's not for the area. They kind of go back and forth, our models do, but they've been pretty consistent on bringing in, unfortunately, some ice comes Friday night through the day Saturday night, and of course, that very cold, frigid air to follow that. But like I mentioned, this is a multi-day, multi-state. Last I counted, there were 12 states with some type of winter storm watch. So any travel plans certainly will be impacted.
Yeah, and like the Northerners always make fun of the Southerners when this happens because the South really doesn't have a ton of infrastructure to support these big winter outbreaks. And it's not like we have a million salt trucks on deck in South Louisiana. So if we do get ice down here, we're pulling resources from states, elsewhere. So the South doesn't really have the standards that the North has set for these winter outbreaks because we really don't see them that much. I mean, it happens, but not, every winter all the time.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out with that is that most of our power lines are above ground. Like in the north, they're buried.
Right.
But here, they're above ground, and when you get freezing rain, it sticks on contact. It weighs down the power lines. It weighs down tree limbs, and that's what causes power outages, unfortunately. And freezing rain is in the forecast. Sleet is a little better because it'll bounce off of surfaces instead of sticking and weighing stuff down. But definitely something we'll be watching here as far as impacts go this weekend.
Yes, speaking of that, I know that, you and myself and all the meteorologists across the country refer to this a lot of the time when we're talking about winter weather forecasting. Like you had mentioned, freezing rain is one of the most riskiest, scariest things that you could deal with. Even like a little bit of ice is a problem for travel. You may get some of that, accumulating on power lines. It could lead to power outages, but oftentimes we look at this and see where is the coldest air going to be. So the reason why it's kind of a tricky forecast down across the Gulf Coast closer to where I live in New Orleans is because it's like, when is the freezing line going to get here? Right now, the big global models, the European and the GFS, are kind of split down here, where it shows, the European model shows that the freezing line, 32 degrees, the freezing temperatures at the surface aren't going to be getting here until after the precipitation is gone, which would be good. That means we wouldn't have to deal with any ice, but the GFS model has that freezing line coming in and coinciding with the precipitation, which could lead to some ice. So there's still that question, will we get some ice here? But this is a good diagram because it shows the snow all the way to the right. The cold air goes from top all the way to the bottom. You get snow. You just mentioned sleet is not that bad, right? Because you get that refreezing of the precipitation as it falls through a cold layer right above the surface.
Right. And I actually used this description earlier in my own newsroom, and we used it a couple years ago, but think of like donuts, right? And the glazed donut is the freezing rain, where it's just kind of like an even layer of ice. And a sprinkled donut where you get those little particles on top, that's sleet. So would you rather see freezing rain? Would you rather see sleet? I think a lot of officials say, sleet is a little easier to see because the freezing rain, freezing on contact, it's difficult to detect. Yeah.
Yeah. The freezing rain is like a sheen of ice. Basically, the rain just it goes all the way through the atmosphere as rain and then hits the surface. The surface is 32 degrees at the freezing mark, and it just freezes on contact with the road, and it's hard to see, freezes on contact with power lines and trees. So that's why we're really concerned about the freezing rain across the southern United States. And we'll have to watch and wait and see if we will be getting that here, but it is possible north of Lake Pontchartrain we could see that here on Sunday. So we'll have to, wait and watch and see this weekend.
Well, Alexa, it was great talking to you. Thanks so much for that infographic. And
Thank you.
I know it's going to be a busy few days, so best of luck.
You too, for sure. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Talk to you later.
That's it for us. We hope you stay safe over these next few days. And as always, Plus is your resource for all of your weather updates. Stay warm out there. Have a great day.